And welcome to John's Eclectic Photo Time Adventure Series, Episode 33, The Beaver Moon, on 5 November 2025 out at Stillhouse Lake in Belton, Texas. The Beaver Moon on 5 November was the last supermoon for 2025. It was 14% brighter than normal. And today is Wednesday, the 5th of November, and I'm out here at Union Grove campsite over here at Stillhouse Lake, as you can see behind me. And we're going to be trying to capture the supermoon. It became a supermoon at like 7:14 this morning, so we'll see how well it looks tonight. It should be good. And we're going to try and catch it right over my shoulder here, coming up over that outcrop of land. So let me go ahead and start getting set up, and we'll be right back. So here we are out here at the Union Grove campsite and Stillhouse Lake. And if you look over this way, we have a 100 to 500 over here that will be taking 7 exposures. I usually start off at speed of 80 and ISO 100. Then over here we're going to be recording the Beaver Moon rise, and we're going to have this set at 500. And over here underneath the cover is the Canon R6 Mark II with the 70 to 200 f2. All these are going to be set at f11. Anyways, this is going to be doing a moon streak of around 22 to 25 minutes. All right, so we've got the moon coming up, and you can see it right over, I hope you can see it, right over here. So we've got everything set up pretty good. We've got a 23 to 25 minute long exposure set up on this one. This is the Canon R6 Mark II with the 70 to 200 f2. Over here we have the Canon R5 Mark II. Everything's set at f11. We're right now shooting at base 1/50, ISO 200 at 324 millimeters. So we'll be watching this one to see when its one gets off the border on the right hand side. Then that gives us a good indication of the one at 200 millimeters, so that we can turn that off so that it doesn't go off the page. We're also using the iPhone, and then all the way over here is we are using the Canon R5 with the 100 to 500 on it, and this is doing 7 exposures every 30 seconds. So we're going to see how well all this turns out. There's not much to do right now other than just watch the moon rise. I'm just hoping that it was dark enough. The long exposure has a ND10 filter on it. It also has a polarizer because of the water. Not sure if that's going to be an issue or not as the moon goes up. I'm just hoping it was dark enough out here so it doesn't get washed out. Alright, I'll be back later. So about every 2 minutes I go back and walk the line and check everything, make sure everything's still looking good. There's nothing I can do with the bulb exposure because it doesn't let you see what's going on. So that's where you got to kind of guess when to turn that one off so you don't run the streak off the page. The video is still doing good. I have it at 1/50 at f11 and ISO 200, and once again this is at 324 millimeters. And over here I have my iPhone 13. This time I'm trying a cinematic video. Never done one of those before. And then further off I have the R5 with the 100 to 500 that is doing 7 exposure brackets. The sun is barely going down. My biggest concern is I've shot before where it's been this kind of a little bit brighter and that ND filter was not dark enough and the whole picture got washed out. So that was very sad, but that's just it. You can't stop it. If you stop it, then if you start back up again, you can never get the two images to line back up. At least I was not successful. One of the things that looks real nice already is the moon. You probably can't see it on the Osmo 3, but the moon's already reflecting light down onto the lake surface. And then once again, that's why I put the polarizing filter underneath the ND filters on the long exposure for the water. So it's going to be interesting to see how this looks over here. So we went ahead and raised the ISO to 800 on the video. And on the R5, we've moved the 7 exposures where the base is at 1/30. So it's now, after my watch does its thing, it's now 6 o'clock. The moon started coming up at 5:37 over the horizon. Kind of got over here about 5:42. And over on the R5, it's already starting to go off the screen, which is normal. It's usually only a 15 to 25 minute rise. I've still got some videos taking on the cell phone. I did a 15-minute video on the R5 Mark II to about 15.5 minutes, and then I turned it off, repositioned it, and started it up again. So we're going to let that run for another 10 minutes or until the moon runs off the page. And we are currently at 17 minutes over here on the 70 to 200. Once again, I'm going to let that go to 23 minutes and hope that I stop it. Because it's only 200, and this was 300 and something, and same with the R5. So a 25-minute exposure should still keep it on the page. I am in portrait mode, so I should have good luck there. Alright, so it's time to start disassembling all the different tripods. This one is from the cell phone. We finished taking those videos. We took 5 3-4 minute videos there. We've also turned off the R5, the one that was doing the 7 exposures. We still have the video going here for a few more minutes. And we are currently at 21.30 minutes on the R6 Mark II, which is doing the long exposure. So we will see how that one turns out here shortly. Make sure I got everything tightened up. And we'll be right back. Alright, so we've got the R5 packed away. We've got the video phone. We still need to put away the table and the small tripod I used for the R5. And the movie is over with. And what I plan on doing now is move this over a little bit and try and get a picture of the moon. Let's move this over. So what we're trying to do is get one at the lake, so we move it down, and now we're going to get one at the moon. That way we can blend the two of those together. And that completes that. And we're turning this long exposure off. And the long exposure is awesome. I'll be right back and I'll show you what that looks like. And here is that blended final picture that I took on the R5 Mark II. Once again, I focused on the reflection in the lake, and then on the second picture I took a picture of the moon and then blended them together later in Lightroom and Photoshop. Alright, so here we are over here at the R6. Let's make sure we move it back to manual mode. And we'll call up our picture, turn you around here in the screen so you can see. Oops, let's get this thing to go down. Whoa. Hang on a second. I'll be right back. Alright, and so here we are. This is the long exposure moon streak. Once again, I was really concerned that it was going to be too light when I started it. I do like the glow on the lake as the moon extended out. Very interesting. So we'll see how this all turns out when we start doing post-processing. But that sure does look nice, and I did a 25 minutes and it turned off. Turn that back on. Get that picture back up. Make sure I don't hit that delete button. I don't know why they put those buttons so close together on the Canon. Anyway, so we'll see how that looks in post. Darken up that blue a little bit, and that should be pretty awesome. Once again, I love how it reflected off the lake. And once again, here is the final moon streak with a little bit of processing inside of Lightroom. As I stated, I just loved how the reflection built across the scene throughout the lake. And while the sky is rather light blue, that was because it started, the blue hour was rather extended. And I was concerned that it would wash it out like it did last month in an attempt. But once again, I was just so excited about how this turned out. And here is one last view of the Beaver Moon rising over Stillhouse Lake on November 5th, 2025. I just love that reflection. And it just looks so cool. And not sure if you can see them in here, but they should come out pretty good in the moonstreak photo. Is the all the towers with the blinking lights off on the lower right hand side. So those should be pretty interesting. And in this frame, this is the R5 that was taking 7 exposure brackets every 33 seconds. And going through and using Photoshop. Every 5th picture was used to make this final composite of the Beaver Moon rising over Stillhouse Lake on 5 November 2025. Just a quick view. I don't know if you'll be able to see the stuff in the dark. I did not bring out any lights or anything for this trip. But here's all the equipment I've got laid out. So I've got the R5. Where's my cap after that? That is the 100 to 500. I also have the 15 to 35 that I brought out. I lay out all the lids, which are hard to see here. I also have right here, I've got the 100 millimeter Canon macro, because as soon as everything's done here, they've got some really cool spider webs. And so I'm going to take some pictures of that, and then the hood, and then of course my flash. And just like Jared Poland says, always make sure you bring some snacks with a protein. So I got a little trail mix here. Due to the high wind that kicked up after I finished shooting the full moon, I tried to capture several of the spider webs that were underneath that picnic area. And so here are two of the images. I was not successful in capturing the spider that was in the center because the web was just fluttering in the breeze too much. So what follows are the two clips that I took of the full moon rising with the R5 Mark II. The first one is 15 minutes, but I've sped it up to times 20. And then the second one is about a 10-minute clip. Once again, I've sped that up to times 20. So what's interesting here in this clip, this is the very beginning when I started filming the Beaver Moon rising, is that a Chinook helicopter from the nearby Fort Hood flew in, and in a little bit it hovers about 500 feet offshore and about 500 feet up in the air from where I was positioned at. So in hindsight, I'm wondering, did they fly out there so that they themselves could capture some pictures of the Beaver Moon rising? Don't know. It's just pretty interesting. I'll include a picture of a Chinook here at the end. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode, part of John's Eclectic Photo Time Adventure Series, episode 33, The Beaver Moon. As you saw, that this was mostly a behind the scenes of how everything was set up, utilized to capture the Beaver Moon. Once again, thank you. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and hit that like button. Much appreciated.